What was considered to be the biggest game in the country last night, number 4 Alabama on the road at number 15 Missouri. We talked about the potential of Alabama losing this game on the show yesterday. I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, that if Alabama was going to lose this game, we thought it would look like that.
Nope.
110 is it's almost like an NBA All-Star game defense.
Yeah, I did a video for Taylor yesterday, and I thought it would be frenetic. I thought there would be a lot of scoring. Just you look at Alabama now, their 5 losses, they're giving up right at 90 points per game in those 5 losses. So typically when Alabama loses, even when they win some of these track meets. But for Missouri to go for 110 points in 40 minutes of basketball, that's insane.
Yeah, let me start with the fact that I said I thought Alabama would win, so I could not have been more wrong.
Lance'sLock.com, Missouri -1.5.
Lance went the other way, so he could not have been more right.
Yeah, Jim's always fading Alabama. Another money line winner last night.
So do you just play against them every game?
I do, and obviously it has not worked for a profit. No, the games that are up in the air.
Yeah.
Again, you watch Alabama play. That was a bad defensive performance. I mean, there's no other way around it. When you give up 110, I don't know what else you could say, but that was just awful, awful defense.
Yeah, Brown, it was historic last night. It was January 13th, 1990 is the last time someone scored, last time Missouri scored 110 in a conference game. It's only the second time in the last 30 years that a team scored 110 in regulation against a top 5 team. 30 years.
I knew after the time we had time to watch the majority of the game at Oats. Then we get in the car, we're listening to a good bit of it, and then I got home and I still had like 15 minutes to watch.
I know that game was about 2:40, I believe.
But when it was wrapping up, all I could think about was the biggest narrative coming out of this game is Alabama's defense isn't good enough to win them a championship. And look, they've only got 5 losses, but I think it's a fair point. When you get to a tournament, and after that first-round game, they are going to have to play 5 quality opponents if, in fact, they were to win a national championship. And can the defense hold up through a gauntlet like that?
There are Alabama fans in the MyBookie.ag chat and on social media that discredit the graphic we send out, the Ken Palm graphic that has been true, by the way, every year since 2002. So it's kind of hard to discredit something that has been true that long, every single year since 2002.
Yeah, every year you bring it up, I'm like, maybe this is the year.
Yeah, and it's never the year. And
the only thing I don't like about it is that it continues through the NCAA tournament, through the championship.
You know
game.
what? That one and the NFC East, believe it or not, 20 straight years of a different champion each and every year.
That is bizarre right there in the NFL.
I hear you bring that up occasionally. I forgot about that one. That's crazy.
That one and that one are both pretty. I mean, the NFC East probably crazier, but still, I mean, those numbers are what those numbers are.
So for those that don't know the stat, in the Ken Palm adjusted offense, you got to be top 40 offense, top 25 defense. And there's a reason those numbers are there. I mean, that's the type of defense that's required. It's not that Ken Palm's got some sort of magic formula. It's just that you got to be that good defensively to win a national championship. And Alabama today, I don't know. I think they were 39 going into yesterday. Good Lord knows how much they must have dropped after that. After that performance last night, they are 46th. So, not as much as you might think, only 7 spots. But they've got – I only say that to say.
Well, I would say when you've got as many data points this deep in the season, 26 games in, to drop 7 points off of one game, that's a big drop.
I would just say that to say to further emphasize what Lance is saying right there is Alabama does not have the defense necessary currently to win a national championship. They didn't last year either, by the way, and made it to the Final Four. This is not a Final Four stat. This is a national. At some point, you're going to have to lean on the defense that's a top 25 defense to win a national championship.
But their defense was different in the NCAA tournament last year. They played better defense.
It was definitely better.
They played better defense, and you don't know if at some point they'll play better defense or just luck into playing somebody on a bad shooting night or something. But it was horrible last night, 110-98. But what was horrible, cut one, Tyler, what was horrible was they have not led now in 80 minutes. I'm just shooting off the top of my head.
No, you're
they
right.
haven't led in 80 minutes of game time.
They haven't led since Austin, Texas.
It was 9-0 out of the gate against Auburn, and then I'm and Neville getting ready to watch Auburn go. And as I turn on my iPad here, YouTube TV, Alabama, Missouri, earbuds in. It's 12-0.
Did this game start at 7:30?
12-0. Timeout, Nate Oats. Here's Nate on just another freaking slow start.
Obviously not one of our better defensive games. You got to give them a bunch of credit. They came out ready to go. You know, they started out 12-zip, scored 18 before the first media. Getting our guys ready to go is part of my job as head coach, and I didn't do a very good job of it tonight. So we didn't start the game out well, and then we didn't guard. I mean, give up 110 points. You know, you kind of look at some effort stuff. I mean, Caleb Grill ends up with 25 points, but he had 10 rebounds. I mean, he had more rebounds than nobody had more rebounds than him on our team. You know, Diabate's the only guy that had. I mean, Diabate had 10. Nobody else had more than 4. So for our entire front court to, have 3 and 2, Jaron at 4, for their guard to out rebound is that bad. I just think they wanted this game a little bit more tonight, which is a little bit disappointing because we still had a lot riding on this game. I mean, we were still in full control of our own destiny with the league championship. Had we won out, we no longer are. And Missouri deserves a lot of credit for it.
I'm glad he brought that up about Caleb Grill because that was a career-high 10 rebounds off the bench along with his 25 points for a 6'3" guard that looked like he had just gotten out of the chair at like Supercuts.
Yeah.
And I do because I wanted to bring this up before we went to that clip. Back to Alabama, playing defense. Defense is a lot of effort. Like, there are outstanding defenders out there that play the game of basketball. And then there are guys that are so athletic that are 6'5" to 6'8", and if they get it in their head that they want to defend, they can defend. That's and right. Especially rebounds. I mean, to not be able to block out a 6'3" guard where he gets 10 boards off the bench,
that's amazing.
It's pretty crazy. And Alabama's ridden really good. I mean, going into that game, they were the best team in the nation as far as rebounds.
Yeah, and it's a great point. And, sometimes you'll be in a good position. A long rebound will bounce to somebody. But that wasn't the case a lot of times last night. And in the Auburn game, the fighting through a screen or switching off a screen to be in the face of a three-point shooter, it wasn't there. So now what do you do? Because it feels very different right now
than it did a week ago
last Thursday.
Yeah. So let me say this. We've been playing these games for a long time. I would say what you guys brought up this point, I think this is probably a first. I almost would go digits to dollars on this, that a top 5 team has never played back-to-back games where they didn't lead 1 minute.
Oh, I think I would do that too.
Yeah,
they didn't have 1 second in the lead.
When you're playing 80 minutes of basketball and you're a top 5 team, what are the chances that you don't have the lead for 1 second in the game? That's almost impossible.
It really
back-to-back games.
It really is, and you score almost 200 points combined in those 2 games too, by the way.
Yeah. This is a wake-up call. You'll see how Alabama bounces back. Like, if you don't see their best defensive effort on Saturday, there's a problem.
But see, Taylor and I were talking about this in our postgame last night. There's no, as Seth Greenberg called them, there's no rocking chair game coming up.
Correct.
Because Missouri's number 15 in the country, and we'll give them their love here in a second. I avoided saying flowers there for your benefit. We'll talk how good they are in just a second. But now here comes Kentucky, and then down the stretch here you've got Mississippi State, who may be playing their best basketball. Then you got Tennessee. Then you got Florida. Then you got Auburn. And whoever I said after the Auburn game, I told somebody, I said, I'm not sure Alabama wins another game in the regular season. And people are like,
that is an overstatement.
Would that take them to a 3?
I think it would take them to a 3.
That's an overstatement.
I mean, you can't lose 7 consecutive games.
But the schedule is that tough that you could do it. Yes.
Well, look, let's just go through it. Against Kentucky, they're probably at home a 6-point favorite. Mississippi State, maybe 6-7 point favorite. Tennessee, they're a dog.
Is their easiest game left?
Yeah. Florida, they're probably 2-3 point favorite, and at Auburn, they're a dog. So, of these next 5 games, they're going to be underdogs. The highest they're going to be is a 6-point favorite, maybe. So, yeah, these are all really losable games.
Oh, they're all losable games.
Now,
they're not going to lose them all.
I don't think they will. Now, they played like they did last night, they will.
They are not going to lose them all.
Yeah.
They're not, Jim. They're not going to lose.
By the way, Missouri is
digits to dollars.
digits to dollars. I didn't know we had started that game.
Yeah. It's a good T-shirt though.
Yeah, when I was a kid, Bill Hagler at
Bloody finger dripping onto cash.
I lost.
Digit to dollars. The bloody finger
a guy
onto
named
cash.
Bill Hagler, when I was a kid, TV 40 over in Anniston before it merged with 33 to create 3340. There was a TV 40 in Anniston, a CBS affiliate, and Bill Hagler used to do dialing for dollars.
Yeah.
And
Tom
he'd
York in Birmingham.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
And so Bill Hagler would take the phone book and it would say, 8 from the top, $300, and he'd count down 8, and he called you. If you answered, you won $300. Hey, this is Bill Hagler dialing for dollars.
That's
You
when
won
people
$300.
used to be able, in a wholesome, world, you answer the phone and you weren't getting shaken down.
Hello? Yeah, you always had some granny that was at
Somebody
home.
was at home
Yeah.
to answer the phone.
Yeah.
Sometimes they weren't. It was just ring.
Yeah.
No answer today. Pot goes up to $75
Hey,
tomorrow.
what did you guys think when Dennis Gates gets on the mic with a second half and says,
okay, here's the question.
Okay.
I thought that was really, really interesting.
Never seen it in my life.
Yeah.
More embarrassing to have the court or field rush on you or have the opposing coach to get on the mic to say, please don't rush the field or court.
this-
Yeah,
This
to,
is
to have time to set this up.
Called
Yeah,
a timeout to do
yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
called a timeout to do it. Is this, I mean, I haven't seen Dennis Gates comment on this, and I guess he did post game, and that's on me for not looking it up. But
No, he did.
he did?
Yeah.
I just assumed this was fine related, right? It's
Yeah.
like, why are we going to give Alabama $250,000 for their basketball NIL?
We want to, we need that money for us, not
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah,
was his quote.
So, when we talk about how this fine system doesn't work, that's a little bit, there's evidence that it does, at least in basketball. Like a coach in the heat of a game, now the game was over at that point, but in the heat of the game, a coach has the presence of mind to say, that $250,000 matters. Let's don't just piss it away so students can have fun. Calls a timeout, gets on the microphone and says, don't rush the court.
I still thought for a second they were going to rush.
I did too.
Yeah.
I definitely watched to see, yeah.
He did too. As he was
that's-
shaking hands, he was looking.
Yeah,
Please don't rush the
I
court.
understand why he did it. It was a weird look, but back to your point, I mean, that is a kick to the balls.
Oh, it is. It is. That
Well-
you're beating a team so bad you can call timeout to tell
I
them.
mean, it's the
tell my
equivalent
fans not to rush
of, we
the
always
court.
bring it back to football, Nick Sheridan leaving the coach's box in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Shaking
They
hands.
completely cleared out. I
was
mean,
a
that's
flex.
kind of what this is like. Like, you just don't see things like that.
That was an absolute flex there. Tyler, give me cut number 3. Let's hear from Dennis Gates because this Missouri team is number 15 in the country.
Very
And-
good team.
And they were a very good team. Auburn handled them maybe about as good as anybody in the opening game in conference play back on January the 4th. And some Auburn people last night, as they were walking by and they would see my screen and see the score on it, they were like, man, I knew when we played them, Missouri was going to be a good basketball team. And here we are. They're a good basketball team. Remember, as LT brought up a couple of times this week, 0-18 last year in conference play, Missouri. And he's done this, bringing in some more talent and just doing a heck of a job coaching there at MIZZOU. Here's Dennis Gates.
Whenever you can score 110 points in a game, no overtime, it says we're continuing to take the steps we need to take one at a time. And I'm proud of the direction we're going in as it relates to getting better. I still don't think our team has played its very best, and they would say the same. But we're going in a direction steady, slowly, patiently, and we're not leaving details behind, and you can see our team growing.
You know, we talked about their losses yesterday, all quad one, quality losses, and their only double-digit loss the entire year was to Auburn.
Yeah, so for Missouri, they do it sort of the way Alabama likes to do it. Alabama sort of got beat by their own mirror image. Nobody gets to the rim. Very few teams get to the rim as good as Missouri does. They are great at getting fouled. I think they're number one or very high in KenPom on drawing fouls, getting to the line, and they shot the three pretty good last night as well.
If I told you, though, they scored 110 points, you would have immediately said, good Lord, how many threes did they hit? And it was only 9. I mean, when you score 110 points with only 9 made three-pointers.
Alabama hit more threes.
Yeah, Alabama hit 13. I mean, 13. Alabama really wasn't that bad for me on the arc. 13 to 31. You can live with that.
So, we were obviously doing trivia, so we could only watch so much. But when you have 50 fouls called and 68 free throws.
That's why that game went till 10:40.
Was it tough to watch?
It was not a great watch, no. I mean, the difference is you're watching Auburn and Arkansas at the same time. I'm watching them down below me from my seat, and I'm watching everyone get hacked, and with 6 minutes and 34 seconds to go in the second half on the road, Arkansas had 0 team fouls.
Arkansas had to foul twice just to get Auburn in the bonus when they were trying to extend the game, which I found amazing because that's not Calipari basketball. Generally, Calipari basketball, you have fouled enough.
But their defense was working. I'm just saying that I don't understand how you know how to play as a player, because I'm watching one game where you were having to draw blood to get a foul. I mean, Arkansas with 0 with 6:34 to go in Neville Arena. Meanwhile, Missouri at home shoots 47 free throws, 31 of 47 from the free throw line. Nobody pays to watch free throws. But my question would be, was that just Alabama's sloppy defense?
I don't know, man. When you're more than doubling up what your opponent shoots from the line, like, you always get the occasional additional call at home.
But that's getting to the rim. I mean, they were at the rim, and it's either easy to or hack them, see what happens.
Some criticism of Grant Nelson and Jaron Stevenson in the mybookie.ag chat room.
Grant did not have a good game.
Just back-to-back games, Grant has not had a good game.
Almost fouled out.
I can't really judge defensively. I let Nate talk defense, but I can look at the box score and Grant. I think he only shot five times.
Yeah,
I don't think he shot any threes.
18 minutes. I mean, that might be a season low.
No threes, 8 points, 4 fouls, 1 turnover.
Yep. And by the way,
3 boards.
Youngblood in back-to-back games hasn't really been great offensively.
Yeah, 7 points last night for Youngblood.
Yeah,
and only 2 boards.
So I mean.
He was cold from beyond the arc, 1 of 7 from beyond the arc.
Go back and look at Auburn. I think that was the same situation where he wasn't good behind the three-point line.
Yeah, but if I just would have told you Alabama scores 98 and Sears goes for 35.
Oh, yeah. All you needed to tell me was Sears goes for 35, and I would have said, hey, dub.
Yeah. How much?
Yeah, and only 4 second-half turnovers. Now, the 10 turnovers in the first half, I mean, look, that did get them in a hole.
Yeah, it did. And that's the deal. And that was why I played the Nate
And I think those
earlier.
are your 2 things you worry about, Dunaway. I think you worry about turnovers and you worry about just lack of effort defensively.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, turnovers are pretty sloppy too. I mean, it's one of these things like, get your shit together.
And the slow starts, man. I mean, you're battling back all day long against Auburn after the 9-0 start. It's like that you never made up that 9-0 start. And then last night, 12-0, it was like you never made up 12-0. What was it, 79-73? At one point, Alabama had cut it to 6, and what happened? Just like
9-0 run.
9-0 run from Missouri.
Well, I mean, you say Alabama never overcame the 12-0 run. It was 110-98. Do the math.
Yeah.
12-0 run.
12-0 run.
It was 98-98 after that run.
Go back and look at the Auburn final.
Yep.
9 points.
Hey,
That's
they
9-0 run.
need a title sponsorship for that arena because that's a pretty good fan base.
Yeah, it was loud last night.
No, see,
they're fired up.
That's just it. That's why you almost let them rush the court, because according to everybody I was reading that follows Missouri, that was the best home atmosphere they've had since they joined the SEC.
Well, they got 2 top 5 wins this year at that place.
And think about it. Now SEC games. I think they've obviously played Kansas there, who's a big rival. But
you know what they are this year? They're Arizona State in football or Indiana.
Yeah.
But you know what this is going to do is it's not going to do anybody any favors moving forward, because you'll look at this and you'll be like, okay, Missouri's never been to a Final Four in the history of their program, but they went from not winning a conference game to, hell, who knows, by the end of the year, they might be a top 10. They were talking last night on the broadcast, they could end up being a 3 seed. I think they are a 3 seed right now, but maybe they could work their way into a 2 seed.